Hey everybody, welcome to the Uplift Network. Thanks for joining me today. It's that time of the week again where we're going to cover some positive news stories across the globe. And today I have stories from you from the United States of America, from Portland, Oregon, San Antonio, Texas, and Minneapolis, Minnesota. So thank you for joining me as we spread all of the good news and stories of positivity in a world that has become a news media frenzy for shock and awe stories that are not positive. They are war driven and fear driven and negativity. And the Lord asked me to start a network and bring to you the upbeat, positive stories to uplift each other and to let you know that light lives. Jesus is in this world with us. And so here we are today, catching up on some current events, if you will. The first story is about a 17-year-old out of Portland, Oregon, who learned a new language just to say hello. This is a really cool story. So we hear a lot today about the young people in the world, the teenagers in the world, if you will. And I know one thing that's, on top of mind for a lot of people is you hear it all the time, teen takeover. Some people don't even know what a teen takeover is, but it's not a very positive thing. And so that's what we hear the most of in the news. And so it's really nice to be able to come to the table and go, no, 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 no. There is another side to the story. And here's a great story of a teen who's truly making a difference. So in Portland, Oregon, this girl, her name is Lily Chen, that's been working as a barista in a small Portland coffee shop for the better part of a year. She is quick with an order, good with a name, and of course, as it turns out, very attentive to the people that she waits on, right? Part of a barista's duties, and she's really good at her job. Among her regulars is a middle-aged deaf man who's been coming to the coffee shop for years, and he typically orders by either pointing at the menu or typing into his phone what he needs, right? A perfect workable way for him to get a cup of coffee in the morning. But this way, Lily noticed, just felt a little bit awkward and different from the easy back and forth she could experience with other patrons. So she decided to do something about it. Over the course of 3 months, entirely on her own, without saying a word to anyone, she taught herself American Sign Language well enough to take a full coffee order with every modification, size, and extra shot that she's learned at her role as a barista in this coffee shop. The morning that she signed the entire order back to him for the very first time, she says he stopped, he looked at her hands, and he began to cry. She says, I just didn't want him to feel like an afterthought, like he had to do extra work just to get a cup of coffee. I love that. I love that, Lily. Good for you. Word spread quickly through Portland's deaf community, and the shop has since become a welcoming gathering for a rare spot where deaf people and hard of hearing customers know that they can communicate with ease, all because a 17-year-old barista decided to show up differently. Listen to that for a minute. How we show up every day. Do you see how you show up can totally make a difference and change the world? You can make a huge change by doing something as little as something that she thought, I'm just going to go learn sign language so I can communicate with my customer. And look at where it's turned out. That's awesome. Lily Chen says she's still learning and adding signs. She's still practicing, and she really doesn't think what she did was especially remarkable. But the community she helped build in this little coffee shop would probably beg to differ. The shop owner stated that there are now 3 other staff members who are also learning American Sign Language. You go, Lily. I'd say that's a cup worth raising. So let's raise our cup to Lily, right? I love a good cup of coffee. Anyways, just think about that. And if that story gets out there and maybe others were to take it on and adopt it as part of their baristas learning sign language. Maybe it could be a volunteer thing. Maybe you'll never come across a deaf person, but you're still learning something, doing something. And you know what? I think it's amazing. And I think that in your own community where you may work, you may find other, handicaps or disabilities that you can think of a way that you can support, like Lily did. So way to go, Lily. Okay, here's another great story. Loved this one. It's called Sunday Meals. And so Every Sunday, no questions asked, a San Antonio restaurant opens its doors. And this is in a city where food insecurity touches hundreds of thousands of families. But this one small restaurant has been doing the same thing quietly and extraordinary, not once, but every Sunday. So Miguel Torres is the owner of a small family restaurant in the heart of San Antonio. Back in the fall of 2024, this is kind of how it started. Back in the fall of 2024, he opened his doors on Thanksgiving Day to serve a free hot meal to anyone in need. So there was no voucher required, no proof of anything, no questions asked. You could walk into the restaurant back then in 2024 and have a free Thanksgiving dinner. And he only expected to do it once. But he hasn't stopped ever since. So every Sunday for the past 2 years, Torres and his family unlock the doors, fire up the stoves, and feed whoever walks in. His wife, his children, and a rotating crew of community volunteers, they all cook together, serve together, and clean up together. Listen to this. The food, that feeds the body. But when people come in, when they sit down and when they talk to each other, that feeds something else. That feeds the soul. And that is just what Mr. Torres said he needed. That's beautiful. I love that. The numbers are striking since 2024. Miguel Torres and his team have served thousands of free hot meals, and the demand has grown, not shrunk. San Antonio is a city where nearly 1 in 5 faces food insecurity in some form or another. And Torres doesn't talk about statistics, he talks about faces. That's beautiful. The elderly woman who comes in every week, the father who brought his kids in for the first time and couldn't quite look him in the eyes, the volunteer who started coming because she was hungry but stayed because she wanted to make a difference and help others. There's something different about a commitment that doesn't end, that shows up again and again on a cold Sunday in February or a hot Sunday in the summer heat, and again after a long weekend when anyone would forgive him for wanting to just stay home. Miguel Torres has shown up every single time. That's a beautiful story. Again, it's how we show up, how we show up. And when we show up and we do these beautiful things for others and we make a difference in our community, God will show up in your life and show off like you've never seen before. He'll help you find a way, even if you're saying, I really wish I could do something, but I don't know what to do, or maybe I don't have anything, I don't have a restaurant, I can't go cook for the homeless. It doesn't matter. It's how you show up. So show up. If you can't do it, show up where someone else is doing it and volunteer your time. You're still showing up. You're still making a difference. Okay, one last story. 400 Hearts is going to be the title of this story. It's a Minneapolis grandmother's story, her 3-year act of love. This is a sad story, but a sweet story too. It has like a little sad component. So during the height of the pandemic, like we all hear a lot of sad stories from the pandemic, hospitals around the country, as we know, had to make a decision that no one wanted to make, and that was that visitor policies were suspended. And so families had to wait outside. And some people, too many people, died in a hospital room with no one by their bedside. That is super sad. I've actually had family members who passed during COVID, and that was the experience. And I have friends who had the same horrible, something I'm blessed that it wasn't close immediate family, but it's still a horrible thing. But there's a woman named Helen Morris. She's 74 years old and she lives in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Her husband died in a hospital during the pandemic where she wasn't allowed to be there. No one was. And so in the months that followed, she just went through so much. She did so much in her life, but this grief just took over and there was no place for her to go. There was no place for her to go to relieve this grief, to deal with this grief. She just felt so alone. Think about that. You know, your spouse, the love of your life, dies alone and you can't be there when you're here, you're in the room, you know it's happening, but you can't be where that person is to say your final goodbyes. That is tough. So what she's always done in her life when she's had some stressful moments is she'd go to crochet. And so she decided, I'm going to grow crochet. And something came over her that said, make some small shapes of hearts made of yarn. So she did. And then she thought about that for a minute as she started creating them. And she just kept going, right? She kept crocheting them. And she contacted the local hospital and asked for the memorial list, the names of every patient who had died during the pandemic. There were more than 400 names on that list. So she decided to make a heart for every single name on the list. I love that. It's so beautiful, right? Those who may have been alone are not forgotten. I love that. Each heart took 20 minutes to make. She crocheted through the long Minnesota winter, through the spring, and through the ordinary rhythm of days for 3 years. 3 years of grief she crocheted through. And through the healing, the slow work of remembering, she said, I just kept thinking somebody loved every one of those people. Somebody is missing them. And I wanted there to be something handmade, something that said, you were here and you mattered. I love that. In 2026, this year, she finally walked into that hospital carrying more than 400 handmade hearts, one for each name on that memorial list. The hospital mounted them on a permanent memorial installation and displays them in the corridor where staff and visitors will pass every day. 400 small hearts. Each one took 20 minutes across 3 years. That adds up to more than 130 hours of quiet, deliberative love, right? Quiet, deliberate love. Imagine that. Imagine spending that many hours deliberately doing something to make a difference. Helen Morris will tell you that she's not a remarkable woman. She said, I'm a grandmother from Minneapolis who knew how to crochet and had a lot of time on my hands and a lot of grief to deal with and a list of 400 names. God bless her. But walk down the hospital corridor today and look at what she made with all of it. Look at what she turned it into. She turned her grief into something that will forever be remembered. I love that story. Well, so that's what I have right now for news across the globe on our update on that. So thank you for joining me. If you are not a subscriber to my channel, I would love for you to like and subscribe to this channel. I can't do this without you. This is not about me. This is about you. It's bringing positivity to the world. I want to hear your stories. You can email me at upliftwithpaula@gmail.com. You can write in the comments below. I read all of them. Join, subscribe, like, tell your friends and family. We're going to get the word out and we are going to rise together. Thank you again for joining me. Take care and I'll talk to you soon.